Today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, we go over some guitar tones and a mix that I made entirely with bias effects. So now that you've heard the song, let's quickly go over the patches and the tones that I used to create the song. First, we're going to start with the rhythm guitars. That consists of a double-tracked rhythm guitar. And for that tone, I used a rectifier tone. Naturally, it's me, right? I doubled up on the rectifier amp. And what I did is I dialed them slightly differently, not too differently, but I found that messing with the tone knobs on one of them gave a little bit more cut and a little bit more overall volume while retaining the clarity versus just dialing in one amp, which I really dig. I just have a basic tube screamer in front of the rectifier, and then post rectifier, I dialed in and fine-tuned the EQ a little bit. Both guitars are using the same patch. I dipped the low mids a little bit and boosted the upper mids a little bit just to give some clarity and some cut to the palm mutes. And it sounds like this. Now, let's go on to Harmony 1. And Harmony 1 sounds like this. Oh, that is, I wanted cut. And I wanted something very mid-range heavy, so I chose the British Rock 50, which is basically an orange amp. And I put a little bit of delay after it. And again, these patches are both the same for each of the guitars that are double tracked. I actually have a little bit of drive. I put 2 drives in there. It was kind of an accident, and it sounded good, so I just went with it. And it's a very, very basic patch. I dialed back the bass quite a bit. I have the gain maxed because I really wanted some cut. And on the master bus, all I did is add a compressor and some EQ. And what that's doing is just basically taking out the low end that I don't sonically need, and I don't want it to get in the way of the bass, the kick drum, or the main rhythm guitars. I just want that high end punch for the leads to cut through. So the next part is harmony 3, and that sounds like this. So I chose to use a different amp again this time because I wanted all sorts of colors and I wanted just a lot of variety in the guitar tone. And I doubled up again on the amps, and this is a 69 Duoverb. And basically, these amps are both the same. They're just stacked on top of each other because maxing out the volume on one didn't really have the desired effect that I wanted to. And I like the split of the levels, you know, that way you can get the levels down and you don't have to crank everything. You can have the delay if you want, and so on and so forth. But more importantly, I added a stereo chorus going into the amps, and I also added a little bit of drive because I liked the grit that it added. And then I added some delay and some reverb post. And that's it. Again, I'm using the same patches for both double track guitars. Okay, so next in the song is harmony 2. And that sounds like this. Okay, this is the same thing. I use the same amp on both sides. In post, I think it's what really gives it the effect that I was looking for was the roll and tape delay sim, which was just awesome. I really played with the treble and the intensity because with the old analog machines, you really have to watch the intensity, otherwise it gets out of control really fast. And I also added some drive because I was just really looking for a gritty, nasty tone, and I think I got it. It cuts nicely, and again with the EQ on the bus, so it's summing into the bus, and I EQ'd pretty heavily in the low end because again, I don't want to really mess with the bass, the kick drum, or the rhythm guitars. I'm looking for the cut so you can hear it without having to max out the volume. And that sounds like this. So you can hear in the low frequencies where it just gets really, really messy, and you can hear the pick strums, and it's just not sonically good at all. So just low shelving high passing, the low end just really, really cleans everything up. So for harmony 4, I wanted a little bit of cut because they're octaves and they cut pretty well already. So I used 2 different patches. I used a rectifier on the left side for the octave. And on the right side, I actually used the stock Arsenal patch, which comes with Bias FX. I didn't do anything with it. It sounded great right out of the box. And it sounds like this. Really, we're working with 4 different patches that I made that you can download right now. I uploaded them for you guys to just check out. And the 5th patch is just the stock Bias effects patch. And all I have going on each of these buses is just some filtering, some creative filtering using a basic EQ, and in most cases a compressor just to level everything out. And that's it. That's really all you need. And on your master bus, I have a compressor, and that's all you're hearing. And it's so simple. The tones and bias effects are really, really quite impressive. I highly recommend this. This is, to me, it feels a lot more, it's like the next gen. It's like 2.0 of the original Bias desktop. I don't know if it's the same engine or not. It sounds very, very full, and the effects sound really, really great. And really, you can't go wrong with Bias effects. I've been Fluff. You have been wonderful. I will see you next time. Stay tuned.